Talking About Books, Episode 4. Today we are here again with Henson White.
Hello,
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine.
That's good. And today we're going to discuss JayZ, Made in America by Michael Eric Dyson, with a foreword by Pharrell. So, this book is shorter than some of your previous books you've discussed on Talking About Books. How did you like it?
I enjoyed it. As a person who enjoys rap music, it was a very interesting read. And Jay Z is considered to be a very important piece to the rap puzzle. He is considered to be the one who bridged the gap in between the 90s and the early 2000s. He is one of the first African American billionaires. He's the first rap African American billionaire. And he he's just Jay Z. He's
Okay, that's just JayZ. Did you learn anything about him that you did not know?
I did not know that maybe I knew, but I forgot. But that he got into an altercation with Beyonce's sister. I forgot. I think I forgot that happened in 2000, like 2013. That that the reason he stopped his diss tracks against Nas, a fellow rapper from New York, was that his mom told him to stop. Um, he has a very interesting life. That he was very good friends with Biggie Smalls before he passed, and yeah,
Oh, okay, yeah. Before he was murdered, we try to, speak the truth about terms, right? He didn't just kind of sleep away. Um, so, what do you think someone would walk away with from the book? Like, do you see a teacher using this textbook, or is this purely something you read on the side because you're just interested in JayZ, or you know, how would this kind of compete with some of the other texts you've read? I know you've not read a biography that we've discussed so far. Um, you know, talk about all of or any of that.
it could be used as both. Well, the author Michael Eric Dyson uses a lot of rappers when he teaches. He uses Jay Z as a reference. He considers him one of the greatest poets of all time, or at least African American poets. And it is also a good book just to learn more background about Jay Z. It goes into more details into what he does and to what he did. It does not shy away from his personal life, and it paints him in a light of someone who has lived a long life, and at that has done bad stuff in the past, and he understands that he did bad stuff and doesn't try to make. And the author does a great job of making it so that he doesn't just like skimp over that to make it seem like Jay Z was this perfect human being. He is realistic with him and does a very good job of giving you information about Jay Z.
Oh, okay, very good. So he doesn't cover his flaws with, poetic waxings.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Do you have a favorite album or song by JayZ?
The My favorite song by Jay Z. My favorite song. I can't really pick between the two, but my favorite song by him is his song on the Black album, the album he recorded before he retired the first time, and the interlude song, Public Service Announcement, which has the classic line of "Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Hove." As well as a lot of his work on 444, which was his latest album that was released, and probably one of my favorite songs on the album was the song with the title of the album, 444.
Oh, okay. And what would be your assessment of JayZ in terms of Michael Dyson's claim that he's like the greatest, one of the greatest poets ever? Like, would you agree with that?
He is an amazing writer in the terms of Jay-Z often doesn't even write down what he's rapping. This is a lot of this stuff is off, like just straight out of his brain, which is impressive. A lot of people wrote down and taken way more time to craft way less than Jay-Z crafts when he's sometimes not even trying. He is a very good rapper and poet, so I'd be inclined to agree with him.
Oh, okay, okay. Earlier you said that he was a great poet, and then you inserted African American poet. Do you think there is a reason why a person can't just be a great poet, period, or is it important to recognize that they are also a great African American poet?
I feel like it's important to recognize that as well, because we are often given not an equal get equal stake or equal opportunities, and the fact that he was able to do all this, because it's often thought that we're not capable of something like this, and it is very like empowering to see someone like Jay-Z, who was started out with selling cocaine in the hood of, was it Brooklyn, and now is a billionaire with multiple companies that he owns. So
Oh, okay. The subtitle of JayZ is "Made in America," and we know that was um, also a term used for Don King. You know, this notion of self-made black men who are able to defy a lot of things that would have kept a whole lot of other people back. People who would have found themselves in prison forever, for example, and would not have been able to do some of these things. Do you think the Made in America subtitle is um, reflected in the book, in the biography?
Michael Eric Dyson does a great job of explaining what he means by "Made in America." He means that Jay-Z represents the very underappreciated part of America, and probably one of the biggest reasons why people are successful in America, which is hustling. He considers Jay-Z and a lot of other successful people to be very, very good hustlers. Uh, and especially when people like Jay-Z, use the hustling that they used before, but in a more positive way that positively affects their communities.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So he's using a generic term about people hustling, not necessarily drug dealing.
Yeah.
Right.
Hustling as in just general hustling.
Right. Which you infer to mean what?
Hustling as in you are working harder than anybody else at what you're trying to do. You know you are trying to achieve something that might be difficult, but you continue working at it even though others would have stopped.
Let's see. On a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rank this or score this book?
I consider it a 9. Michael Eric Dyson does a great job dissecting Jay-Z as a character, as a person, as a rapper, as a father, as a husband. He gives background information to a lot of the stuff he talks about. He doesn't just talk about Jay-Z. He talks about the late Nipsey Hussle that was murdered in California. He gives background information of why those two were close friends. He talks about Jay-Z manning up to become Better Man to Beyonce with their well documented history. He does a great job of explaining Jay Z.
Oh, okay. And so that's probably goes well to Michael Dyson's writing ability because the book is quite thin for you to have gotten, seemingly all of this out of it. What is your favorite? What was your favorite scene out of the or favorite story that may have been shared?
Probably the part where you he explains how Jay Z bought. They used to use, I forgot what the exact liquor, what the name of the liquor was, but they would drink it. They would pop. It was, I think it was a champagne, and then the owner of the champagne said something about people like Jay Z using them in their videos and whatever, and he was like, "Oh, I don't really like that, but they're buying the product." So then Jay Z buys a whole a whole company, like a champagne producing, it was either champagne or some liquor, just because of that. Made a whole company because of someone's comments about him and his fellow rappers using the product.
Oh, okay. So he didn't buy that company. He bought another company to rival that company, kind of.
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. So also, I think it's the 444 album where he also in some of the songs provides African Americans primarily a blueprint, some financial blueprint. Some
Mm.
could argue of how to parlay some of what they have now into some future revenue or success.
Mm.
Does that seem to be something that Michael Dyson was able to convey in the book or describe or characterize?
Well, the interesting part about that is that the cover of the book has the lyrics uh to the song 444 on it. And in that song is the blueprint to he gives to financial longevity, and not just having building wealth and acquiring wealth, not just having money, which is the important part that Jay-Z conveys, that in turn Michael Eric Dyson conveys about Jay-Z, that he understood and he agreed with the idea of, instead of just leaving the hood behind, is that you try to help build up your hood. And instead of it being called the hood, it would just be called, you know, another city. You know what I mean? That you leave the hood mentally, the hood mentality, but you stay there physically.
Okay. Okay. And do you think your fellow teens, African American or otherwise, would enjoy the book?
I feel like a lot of teens, especially African American teens, would find the book interesting, especially especially from people from New York, because it does go into a lot of in depth stuff about his time in New York, and it would be a good book for even like an older rap fan to reflect upon. Someone who's been listening to Jay Z since they were like 18 in high school in the 90s while working at a Pizza Hut or something. Like, or somebody now. It's a good book. I could see pretty much anyone who really just wants to know more about Jay Z the person reading this book.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much for your description and response to questions about Jay Z Made in America by Michael Eric Dyson. We look forward to having you again really soon. And for our viewers, remember to subscribe, like, and share to Talking About Books on YouTube under Wonder Boy. And we look forward to sharing other books with you soon. Take care.